Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the new generation of the eDiscovery channel. Tom O'Connor from Still Recovering from Jazz Fest New Orleans here, along with, of course.
Tom, you're going to be recovering for like the next like 9 months until they start putting up the tents again. So,
Yeah, no, we got football season in there, so I gotta
that's true.
recover by September.
Yeah.
Uh, Happy to be here, of course, with Rocky Messing of Alterny, and our guest we're very happy to have is Tali Green, who's a an attorney from Toronto, but more important for our discussion, co-founder of the software company Goodfact. Good morning, Tali. Welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
Rocky, take it away.
Let's do it. So, Tali, we've got a couple of questions to get to know you, get to know some of your thoughts on various things. But let's just start off with the nice and easy one of who are you and what do you do? What is Good Fact?
That one is not easy, but I'll do my best. So I was, trained as a litigator. I worked as a litigator. I have no entrepreneurial background. As I was sort of selecting my profession, the concept of marketing and sales seemed very unattractive to me. So for me, it was all about, law and being a professional and not really getting involved in much else. And I was, working away as a junior associate, and I was working on, my, I guess, transformational moment came when I was working on a file that had a lot of documents that I needed to make sense of. And so I was reading, it was about 1,000 email threads, and I was reading through them and completely getting sort of drowning in the complexity of it all. So I started building a manual chronology in Excel to try to suss out the key information. So I ended up having to go through every single thread and add every single message from every single thread into this Excel worksheet. So about 30 hours into this glorious exercise, I realized that a machine should be doing this, not me. And I was sure I would go on Google and within 10 seconds find a tool that would do this for me because it's so obvious. Like just take email threads and chop them up and put every individual message in chronological order. It shouldn't be that complicated. But there wasn't anything on the market. So then I started getting really intrigued, and I asked my friends in the litigation world, how do you guys handle this problem? I'm sure there's tools out there. I haven't heard of any, but certainly I can't be, this can't be a real thing. And as it turns out, everyone was doing the same manual chronology
No.
in Excel, like from the sole practitioners to the biggest firms in the world. The associates were sitting there doing this work. And they had all the fancy e-discovery tools, but they were still building these chronologies because the e-discovery stopped where they like at the point of what's inside these documents. So fast forward about 2 years, I I was obsessed with this problem and I met my co-founder who happened to have a fascination with email thread parsing and also happened to be interested in the legal sphere and litigation in particular. And we joined forces and built a tool that I needed to solve my problem, and apparently a lot of other people do as well.
That's
So it
awesome.
has since expanded vastly beyond just emails. It can handle PDFs, attachments to emails, any type of compilation PDFs, including massive batches of medical records, financial records. It chops them up, puts everything in chronological order, and that's really the heart of the product. On top of all that, there's a whole layer of AI that just synthesizes everything and turns it into a story. And that's really what we're all going after. So
That's cool.
long-winded answer.
That's awesome. Let me ask you this. When you're not super busy as a co-founder, what's the last book that you read and would you recommend it?
Oh my God. I'm so happy I read a book recently. Otherwise, I would have been embarrassed because I don't typically have time to read books, but I actually did. Well, I didn't read it. I'm reading it, which is better
Okay.
than not
Yep.
reading. It's called, it's actually a parenting book, which is a little sad because it's not that fun to read. It's called How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen. Um,
So
and
that's
I
good for
shouldn't,
talking to attorneys. Yeah.
it's true, actually. There's a lot of really good skills in there. I should have not started it with my third child. I should have read it with my first child. So I'm a little bit behind, like by a decade, but better late than ever. And it's a really great book if you need to deal with toddlers who don't want to put their shoes on in the morning. Like it's helpful.
That's cool. That's cool. Um, let's going back to the world of work.
Yes.
How on a day-to-day basis, how does AI impact you? So obviously there's the AI in the tool that Goodfact has from a product standpoint, but more from your day-to-day work. Like how do you find over the last couple of years that AI has impacted you?
Um, I honestly don't use it that much in my day-to-day work. Maybe I'm a bit of a dinosaur for myself, even though we have very powerful AI in the product. Maybe because I can see some of the shortcomings in AI when you're actually using it to build something, you become a little bit more skeptical about actually using it for, you know, uh, anything that requires like a very high level of precision or accuracy. But just to kind of get ideas like yeah if I'm up against if I'm like stumped by some kind of issue, like for example enterprise sales, it's a complicated issue, stuff comes up, I might talk to Chat GPT and I might say like, hey, here's the situation, what are some recommendations? So that is something that I have used it before and it's been really helpful.
Cool. Awesome. Um, Random question. What's your favorite type of cuisine? What's your go-to dish?
I really like sushi. I'm just gonna have to admit that it's boring,
Okay.
but it's true.
Listen, it works. It works. Um, okay, thinking about the industry. Actually, you know what? Let's go with one more. If you could live anywhere in the world for 1 year, okay? You have 1 year, you can live there. Where would it be? Anywhere in the entire world.
I think, Rafa, you know the answer to that question. It's going to be where you live.
Okay, valid. You're
So
the second
it's
person over the last couple of days to
in
give
Yeah,
me.
that's the
Israel.
second
Yeah.
Israel response that we've had. That's
Yep,
interesting.
yep,
Yeah.
cool.
It's
And
definitely it's calling for a lot of people these days.
it is. And would you want to work or would you want to just have fun for a year?
Israel is not synonymous with fun for me. It's going to be work even if you don't work. Like it's like a crazy place, right?
Yeah,
You don't like go to Israel to relax.
you're
It's
always on the move. That is true.
Yeah, that was
yeah.
my first question to Rocky when he and I got on the line this morning was, okay, how many missiles came in today?
And my answer was only one about 45 minutes ago, so all good.
Yeah.
But okay, looking out a little bit at the industry, you're relatively new to legal tech and the legal technology and e-discovery overall and everything that it encompasses. Looking back at now the last year or two as you've been actively involved and looking forward. What excites you about the industry? What when you look at it, do you say, you know what, this is really the place to be and this is going to be awesome? Or you could say, nothing, I want
Nothing.
out.
Yeah.
I want out. I want to go back to litigation. No, um, I do fully intend to go back to litigation because I love practice. This is by no means like an escape route out of practice. I miss it deeply, and I hope to go back very soon. But in terms of legal tech, I think it's I think it's going to be really interesting to see where people land on AI's helpfulness versus its risks, and kind of where people find that sweet spot and uh, I think it's going to be interesting to find that like kind of optimal space. where you're getting the most possible benefit with the least possible risks associated. I think people are still kind of scrambling to find that sweet spot, and when they do, I think it's going to be incredible, and products will start to really thrive. The other thing that's interesting is in the litigation space specifically is connecting law to facts. Like no one is really doing that yet because the people who have the law don't have the facts, and the people who have the facts don't have the law. The people with the law are pretending to have the facts, but they don't. And so when they actually merge those two things, there's going to be a lot of hallucinatory factums being drafted initially, but I am curious to see how those two things are going to come together.
Right.
It's an interesting point. Do you think that the technology is there to meaning obviously from what you said, there's some of it is the people not being ready and the people not understanding, what the tech can do necessarily and how to use it. But do you think that the tech is ready? Do you think so? So you think it is strictly a people, or is it a people issue, or is it a product issue that it hasn't been?
It's a product issue. I think that people, like, we have the facts, but we don't have the law in our particular product. Getting the law would mean going in a completely different direction, and we're a small startup. So we're focusing on where we're very good, which is generating your story. And that's in a very, starting from a very precise list of facts to, overall what happened. And then linking that to the law, I think is totally doable. We just don't have access to the law in the same. So in theory, someone could use our product and generate that story and then plug that into a legal research based product and then go nuts with whatever they can get there. But merging those two things would be fascinating.
Interesting. Yeah, I remember going back in time for me, I was sitting in a classroom in San Francisco, and Mr. Tom O'Connor was actually instructing me on summation way back in the day. Tom, I don't know if you remember this, but one of the things that you said at that time is because summation was just coming out with some of their transcripts and their timeline builder type functionality, and you said it's all about the story. E-discovery has nothing to do with data; it has to do with the story. And that has resonated with me throughout my career is, how do we tell a story? The data just is leading into and informing the story, but it's really about the litigators want to tell a story, and that's the bottom line. So
yeah, it's unfortunate. I don't know how it is in Canada, Tali, but in the US, of course, the number of cases that go to trial has dropped dramatically. In the federal courts, it's less than 5% now. But that's what we were as litigators. We were storytellers. We are storytellers, especially in a jury trial where we're trying to convey this to people who have not had the benefit of the disbenefit of 6 months of trial discovery, and the tedium of that. They're hearing all this for the first time, and you have to present it in an imaginative way. You have to tell a story. So yeah.
Cool.
I mean, for sure, the number of people who go to trial has significantly dropped, but you still need to tell a good story to a mediator. You have to tell a good story to an arbitrator.
Mediation,
you have to tell a good story to opposing counsel so that they will see that there's a case there and hopefully convince their client to settle. So
that's a very Canadian thing to say. You assume that the two sides in your country talk to each other and listen to each other. Not so much an American experience. We're not really trying to convince the other counsel. Trust me.
Yeah.
The judge, maybe the judge or the mediator. Mediation has become huge.
Yeah.
Tali, one last question. So obviously reading, I don't think would qualify as one of your hobbies, but what do you do for fun outside of work?
Oh my God. I mean, I have my kids are fun. And even when they're not fun, I spend all my time with them if I'm not working. So but we love to travel. Like I like to take them to different cities and show them different, new experiences just to kind of open their eyes to something that they're not used to. So I'd say that's
Travel.
I would gravitate towards. If we have free time.
Awesome.
Okay.
Tom, any final follow-ups?
No, I'm good. I thought I particularly like the trial, the mediator, that storyteller. That was the area I was going to ask a question on. So, Tali,
Cool.
thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time. Look forward to seeing the company prosper, and I think you're onto something here. So, uh, best of luck to you, and maybe we'll run into each other at a conference someplace.
My pleasure. Thanks for your questions. Have a
All
great
right.
day.
Thanks,
Thanks.
Tali.
Okay, folks, that's it for this session. We'll see you next time in the new generation of the eDiscovery channel.